Have you ever had a partner who acted weird and you weren't sure what to do about it? I'm sure you probably have. Or maybe you're the partner who acts a little bit weird and you're probably going to want to show this video to your partner as a good discussion. This is a great place to open up that conversation, so I recommend you watch this video with your loved one if you're trying to work with them. That's the kind of resource we're going to build here today. One of the biggest email questions I get and comment questions is, what am I supposed to do for my partner who has anxious attachment, avoidant attachment? I get these questions all the time, especially over my TikTok lives and in the comment section here. My partner has blank attachment style. How can I help, or what should I do to manage the issues that are coming from it? So today I just want to do an entire video walking you through what those issues can create in your relationship for this first half, and the second half, steps that you can take, practical steps to fix things or build better communication so that those issues don't sabotage the love that is growing between the two of you. Now, I am Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist, so I have a number of great resources that I'm going to be dropping throughout the length of this video. All of those resources are available on my website, adamlanesmith.com, and you can check them out there. If you need help, just drop a comment below and say, hey, Adam, where's the link to whatever, and I'll share it with you as well. And if you have deeper questions that you need help with, either touch on the About tab and contact me through there, contact me through my website, or at support@adamlanesmith.com, which is a great email you can reach me at. So attachment styles, if you've watched my previous videos, you know that they can cause problems in your personal life. But what does it look like to be the partner of somebody with avoidant attachment or anxious attachment? Today, I'm going to show you how to find that in your partner and what you should be expecting if that's what's happening. If you are the partner to someone with anxious attachment style, let's put everything aside and assume that you have secure attachment yourself. You are going to see them pull in themselves and never share their needs. They're not going to be able to state what they want. They're going to say, I don't know, I don't care, it doesn't matter to me, right? The classic, like going out to eat and they have no opinion whatsoever, but they will never have opinions on hardly anything, because their fear is going to tell them, if I ever open up, this person will see that I am unlovable and they'll abandon me. Their fear of abandonment is going to color most of their actions towards you. Even if they don't come out and say, I'm afraid you're going to leave me, they might actually say that, but they may always cling to you. They may always be craving more attention, more approval. It may always look like they think you are one step away from abandoning them. Being with a person who has anxious attachment style can make you feel like they think you're some sort of bad person who's going to leave them. In fact, it's the opposite. They believe they are worthless and you are good, but it's perceived as if you are such an awful, uncaring person, you're just going to walk away and abandon them at any moment. This can be really hard to deal with. So if you're facing that, that may tell you that you're dealing with an anxious attachment style person. Now, with anxious attachment style, it's usually very obvious that they have a lot of anxiety issues. You often see a co-occurring diagnosis with generalized anxiety disorder, panic attacks, things like that are usually very common. Not as much as with an avoidant person who just happens to have that anxiety. The anxious attachment person, their entire experience is defined by the constant anxiety of being exposed, being abandoned, being thrown away like garbage, or being mistreated because they deserve it. And you may actually find it's really hard for you to compliment your partner because they'll constantly say, no, that's not me. No, don't say that about me. No, that's not true. No, and they push back every single compliment you could possibly give them because they're actually afraid of being complimented. Part of it is because they don't believe they deserve it, so they're trying to be like modest or humble or realistic. But another part is they're afraid if you think well of them, then everything is going to ratchet up in pressure, and then they're eventually going to fall off that pedestal, and it's going to hurt even more when they disappoint you down the line. They're trying to prevent a bigger crash later by disappointing you a little bit now, or by telling you, don't put me up on that pedestal, I'm trash, just throw me in the gutter where I belong. This is anxious attachment style. And you may actually find that they get more panicky when things go right because they're terrified that they are going to screw it up. You're going to see them sabotage their efforts as soon as they get close to any kind of a finish line. They're going to procrastinate a lot. Big signs. And this can really impact you in your life. If you guys are trying to build a life together, here they are sabotaging things over and over and over. You may feel like you have to drag them across the finish line every single time, or that they don't even let you drag them across the finish line because they start panicking and freaking out even worse. And one last piece. Anxiously attached people can't share their needs with you, but they will do 10 nice things for you, hoping and secretly expecting you to figure out what their secret underlying needs actually are. And over time, they can get a little bit more resentful. So if they've ever blown up at you for all the things they've done for you, and then you forgot to do one thing that they'd never told you about, and then later they throw themselves on your mercy, apologizing for being mad enough to be resentful, it's often an anxious attachment spiral is what that typically is. Now, if you're with an avoidant person, it can be a bit more subtle at first. They usually are very calm and reserved and cool off, and they kind of stand back and they're aloof. They seem mysterious and interesting in the first 6 or 7 or 8 months, but then it starts to deteriorate where they can't just do that anymore. They may love bomb you and give you constant compliments and attention and gifts and all kinds of things to attract you to them, but after 6 or 7 or 8 months, it gets a lot harder. One thing I tell people is that people who are avoidant tend to be really great in bed because they have to be, because that bonds you to them, and later on they start becoming more selfish in bed and you're like, what happened? It completely changed. You're a different person. Well, no, it's just that the love bombing part of their process is completed, and now they get into what's called breadcrumbing, where they pull away and they withdraw and they expect you to chase them. If you're secure style, you don't want to chase them, but if you have an oxytocin addiction, you may chase them a bit and find yourself frustrated at chasing them, and then they'll get scared because you're chasing them, and then they'll withdraw even harder. That's usually how that works. So if you find that your partner is withdrawing, pulling away, never sharing, similar behaviors sometimes to the anxious attachment, but it's more driven by fear of not trusting other people. If they are completely pathologically distrustful of everyone, if they always think someone has an ulterior motive. So if you're looking for more information on how you can resolve those issues, if you're the person with those issues, my book Slaying Your Fear on Amazon is a great resource. You can also find it linked through my website. There's 2 more pieces that we should talk about here. One is the manipulative version of avoidant attachment, and it's very difficult to come back from this one, but I'll mention it anyway. These are the ones who manipulate, they gaslight, they lie. Their belief that other people are selfish has taken on such an extent that they now believe they have to protect themselves actively and aggressively from other people. So if you make a mistake, they hold it against you forever as proof that you should never have been trusted in the first place. If they want something from you, they are willing to lie or manipulate or gaslight or twist you up. It's not necessarily, again, they're not trying to be bad. Their belief is that you would do worse to them if you got the chance, so they have to navigate their world by misusing information and controlling what other people are allowed to think. They will twist you up, they will do all kinds of hurtful things, and it's all about the carrot and the stick. They start off being really charming with the carrot and pulling you along, and when that doesn't work, they easily use the stick on you over and over and over to confuse you and twist you up so you can never turn against them. This is really hard to fix. In the second half of this video, we'll talk about fixes, but really hard to deal with, and it can deeply wound you over time. So if you found yourself utterly exhausted in your relationship, it's usually that style, or at least closer to the manipulative version. That's the one that leaves people exhausted. Finally, we have the disorganized attachment style. If you find your partner going back and forth, and they're in and out, and they don't know what they want, and they perceive the tiniest change in the relationship and blow it up into a giant catastrophe, and then they freak out, and they try to burn everything down, and then they try to jump out the window, but then they feel bad, so they kick in the door and come back in to try to make you happy with candy and a teddy bear, and the house is still burning down, and you're like, we gotta fix this. And they're like, but it's okay, right? It's okay, you won't leave me. But then you're like, but you left me. And if that's the process, if you find them very chaotic, you find them push and pull and hot and cold and in and out and back and forth, if you find your partner doing that and they're endlessly afraid, it doesn't make them a bad person. It doesn't even mean they have a personality disorder. This could be the blend of both attachment styles. They usually got so much abuse or hurt early on that their brain said, I can't just be avoidant and stay away from people because they'll hunt me down and hurt me. And I can't just be approval seeking because people will overcome that anyway. So I have to use both running away and people pleasing. I have to be afraid of myself and afraid of other people all the time, constantly nervous. But they still crave love, and they still want to connect with you, and they really want to do what's right, but their terror overwhelms them all the time. If this is something that you've seen in your partner, this is usually a disorganized attachment style. It's very chaotic. You usually know something is going on because it's very obvious, and that disorganized style, and also can be fixed. So let's talk about fixing these things, because it is best for couples to fix their attachment together. I created my Attachment Bootcamp video course as a great resource that couples can go through and learn all of these attachment pieces together, piece by piece, solve the problem together as a team, and then build deeper conversations around each topic, and then oxytocin bond and vasopressin bond inside that course. By the end of it, you have a shared communication language that you can use to solve these problems better, conflict resolution framework that gets you through those fights easier, and then you have the system step by step to deepen your bond so that you can stay together for the next 50 years. That attachment bootcamp course is available on my website. I'm going to drop the link down below in the description if you're interested. Helping your partner with their anxious attachment usually means helping them open up a bit more to expose who they are, to test if you're really going to abandon them. Challenging that and saying, look, I have never abandoned you. I'm not going to. Whatever you think I'm going to abandon you for, let's talk about it right now. If you're ready, let's talk about it right now and see if I would actually leave you for it. Let's get this over with. Otherwise, we're both going to live in misery. You don't have to be that blunt about it. You could be. But having that conversation of saying, look, talk to me about what you think I'm going to leave you for. Open up and let's talk about this, because let's test it. If you are living every day thinking that I'm about to abandon you, let's figure this out. Let's talk about it. And giving them the room and the permission to ask you when they are feeling something called emotional impermanence of, you've been away from me for 4 days and I haven't heard from you, so my brain thinks you are falling out of love with me. Them connecting with you and giving them permission not to say, please, 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 but to say, hey, look, my brain is being a little weird right now. Just a heads up, is there any problem between us, or are we actually good? If they can text you that, you can just say, yep, we're good, no problem. Don't worry about it, just your brain. They can say, oh, okay. And they can, woof, that's all it will take. Instead of them sitting there 12 hours a day, freaking out until you contact them and they've already like given up on the relationship and broken up in their heart. Having that dynamic testing with you, and then that permission to open up and ask you when they're insecure, those two pieces can really help someone with anxious attachment. At the same time, building greater oxytocin bonding with them. I got other videos here to help you do that, but building those deeper oxytocin bonds with them can build that nurturing that they need, which can in turn help induce GABA in their brain. GABA is an inhibitory neurotransmitter that helps shut down some of those feelings of anxiety and depression, and then helping them do that, an oxytocin bond with a couple friends or family, so you're not their sole source of oxytocin bonding in this world. If you can spread that bonding a bit appropriately through their life and relationships, that can really begin that healing process. And that's part of what the Attachment Bootcamp course walks you through doing. When I do coaching with people, that's usually the beginning of their plan of fixing their attachment, is those 3 things right there. Those anxious attachment styles. Do that with your partner and you should see some difference. Now, with avoidant attachment style, if you're wanting to fix this, what you need to be doing is giving them permission to pull away, giving them permission to breathe, giving them permission to share their needs with you, giving your permission not to be okay and super engaged and that you're not going to chase them, letting them know how far would be too far for them sharing their needs. They actually wonder this, or how much would be too much, or when you would tell them that something was wrong, giving them that permission to not endlessly improve your good feelings and letting them know that your feelings are not what keep you with them. That is an absolutely crucial part of the process of fixing avoidant attachment. And that's also included inside the Attachment Bootcamp course, inside the module talking about how you can improve your needs, share your needs, identify them, and then give them measurably to your partner. That's something that you must do inside the relationship, because the avoidant person usually has never shared their needs before and will go to their grave without sharing those needs, sometimes literally. As you give the avoidant person that space to breathe, their fear and need to run away diminishes, and then they can start to see that you are somebody who's acting unselfishly. You'll confuse them at first, and then they'll like it, and they'll lean into it a bit more, and that will scare them as well. Talking to them about sharing their scared feelings with you, that can be helpful, but first you have to demonstrate that you are a person of good character, goodwill, and you are not the self-absorbed person that they've imagined every human being on Earth absolutely is. Now, that's the nervous type of avoidant who's going to try to work with you and is a pretty good person. There's the manipulative variant of avoidance, of course, that focuses on controlling you, gaslighting you, and managing you, and they do not work in good faith with you. It is incredibly hard to work with these people unless they hit rock bottom and hate their life and start to question those perceptions. When I tell people that men don't change for relationships, they change for circumstances, and especially avoidant men, it goes triple for manipulatively avoidant men. I wrote a book called Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands, about husbands who just kind of gaslight their wife a bit, not majorly, but gaslight her a bit, even gaslighting himself, like, no, I'm going to change, no, I'm going to change, no, I'm going to change, no, I'm going to change. And he never really changes, and over 15 years, he wears her down and exhausts her. And then she says, I'm tired, I can't do this anymore, I'm just going to break up with you, we got to get a divorce. And he says, wait, this is coming out of nowhere, we've been fine for all this time, what are you doing? doing? The book is called Exhausted Wives, Bewildered Husbands. I wrote this book in response to that dynamic being played out so many times in all the couples that I worked with in couples coaching and couples therapy. Now, you can find a link to that book right here, and that book will show you if your relationship is fixable or not. You can also schedule a coaching session with me by clicking right here, and we can actually do a full assessment together on if your relationship is fixable or not. If you are not sure, I will be bluntly honest with you based on my 15 years of training and experience, if that's a relationship that can even be fixed, and if it could, what's your timeline, and are you willing to give that amount of time into that timeline? The last one is disorganized style, and this is harder to fix in that the disorganized person can sabotage and split in either direction. They can sabotage themselves and say, I am worthless and not worthy of love, so I'm going to run away. Or they can sabotage the relationship and attack you and say, you are the problem, I'm out of here. And they could freak out in either direction. The fix for this is, number one, to sit them down and have a conversation with them about what they need and how you can help them in that moment. Ask them what is helpful. Ask them what phrases you can use, like code words, like putting your hands up and saying, I want to fix this with you. We are a team and I'm not going anywhere. Sometimes doing that and building that in ahead of time is more helpful than doing it on the spot, because they won't trust you because they're already elevated and scared and they think now this is a trick. But if you tell them ahead of time, like, what can I say? What is a good phrase I can use when you are agitated and upset and you feel like you're about to lose our relationship? What can I say that would be helpful? Also, learning to be non-emotionally reactive when they're spiking. Identify that those are different sides of the brain. The logical side diminishes so the emotional side can spike. That's why they are so irrational during those moments. And you're like, where did my person go? Like, you're this like angry, scared, like wounded animal. What's happening? Their emotions are skyrocketing, so their logic is diminishing. And when they calm down, they'll level back out. And that's where they kick in the door and come back in to try to give you good feelings. But first they have to burn the house down and jump out the window. That's this brain. What you need to do is identify that and say, okay, I will be your calm person as much as I can. I'm not going to let you kick me around, but I will be your calm person as much as possible. I will work with you, and I'm not going to react to that crap. But afterward, I am going to have some words for the things that you have said or done. So we need to get those under control. I'm not just going to sit here and tolerate it. Don't enable, but you can be their safe person in the moment when they are escalated. Emotional non-reactivity is one of the best things that you can do. However, using logic is going to be completely useless. Using emotional words and emotional language, much more helpful. You know, I am your friend, I'm your partner, I'm your lover, I am here to help. I want to help. I am not going anywhere. We can take some time working on this. We don't have to fix this right now. It is going to be okay. I am right here. That kind of language, much better. You don't have to say everything will be great. You can just say, look, it's going to be all right. I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. Comfort. Comfort and reassurance is what they need at that point, not logic. Logic will not work. Be aware of that. And one thing that needs to happen is they need to build some emotional regulation. They can come into a coaching session with me and I can teach them physical techniques to emotionally regulate themselves. That's something you could also walk them through. If you guys want to both come in, I can teach you some of those techniques really quick. But your body can regulate your emotional spirals better than your logical brain can, because your logical brain is diminished, but your body is not. So learning how to manage those emotional regulation spirals, very important for helping someone with disorganized attachment style. So it is possible to fix these attachment styles. You do not have to just manage them forever. Like I said, if you take my attachment bootcamp video course together, it will show you how to fix these issues and manage them as you go along. So fix them, yes. Also manage them so that you don't just, oh, hopefully fix. Build that process in together. You don't have to enable this person, but if you love them, you can guide them with that process of fixing it together. That's why couples who take my attachment bootcamp course bond as they go through it, because as it fixes it, you're the first person they've ever realized that they can fully trust and relax with. And that bonding is like human superglue. So fixing these attachment styles together is one of the best things you can do if you want to grow old together in a happy, loving, passionate marriage. So up next, what I recommend is you go back through my list, and actually I'm probably going to link it right here, and find the video for what does a secure relationship look like. You need to know where you're aiming so that you can follow that pathway and get there. If you don't know what a secure relationship looks like, I can show you. As I said, you can find all these resources on my website at adamlanesmith.com. If you need help, drop me a comment below and say, Adam, here's the partner I'm dealing with. Give me a couple more tips. Adam, I need some directed help. Like, Adam, this coaching session, drop me a link. Let me know in the comments what you need from me to get through this. And if you are just finding out that your partner has an attachment style, drop me a comment below and ask for more information. I can share a free guide to help you get more involved in attachment and figure out how to help your partner in even deeper ways. Because this is just touching the beginning of the surface. This is the top of the iceberg. There is a lot more for you to get to know. So, once more, I'm Adam Lane Smith, the attachment specialist. Please like, comment, and subscribe. Take care of the channel, and I will take care of you. Thank you.